Dobre, ideme na to, ideme to tvrdé raz roztočiť. Ako prvé skontrolujeme zvukovú stopu, skontrolujeme zvukovú stopu, či sa či odsypá, ako má. Dobre, ideme na to, ideme to tvrdé raz roztočiť. Oficiálne to spúšťame. Tak začíname 857. Začíname 857. relaxačný tréningový deň. Je 25.3. Je 25.3.2026. Je streda, takže sú klikožrutí 100, 90, 80, 70, 60 kliksterov, 5 sérií. Začíname 19.49, pičesujeme 18.49, každému podľa gusta bolo svastiky. My máme 19.49. Ideme na prvú sériu 100 klikožrutov, 100 kliksterov. Čo sa je za nami? No, nevidím to žiadny podmas. Ja Deus Ex, lebo tak toto bude extrémne dlhý segment. Ja postupujem na majstrov sveta. Ako neviem, ktorý z nich piču si môže myslieť, že postupujem na majstrovstvách sveta. Sú úplne na hovno. Úplne na paseku. No už 4 minúty ja som dal len jednu sériu. Ideme na druhú, 9 klikov, že to 9 klikster. Zase je za nami. Aj ktorý z tých pičusov si môže myslieť, že postupia niekam. Do hovna naspäť. Zatiaľ už začne Last Epoch.
Youth Intake Day on Football Manager is one of the most exciting times of the season. It's that time when your club welcomes the new academy players and hopefully you've got the next Lionel Messi. If your intakes haven't been great, then in today's video I'm going to run through a few things.
No, tretia séria, 80 klikov, že to 80 klikov.
Superstar from your academy. Because let's be honest, there's nothing better than the local lad leading your team to the Champions League. And right to the end of this video as well, I'm going to be talking about two very, very good tips that are going to help you with youth intake. So make sure you're sticking around at the end for those. The first thing to know is that each country has a youth rating, a game importance attribute, an economic factor and financial status. So in short, basically, if the country places a higher importance on football, for example, England, Brazil, the places that are crazy about the sport, that affects the quality of nutrients throughout the country. If the country's richer, that affects it too. More money to build better facilities, to hire better coaches, etc, etc. You can only see these values in the pre-game editor as they're hidden. There will be a list online that you guys can have a look at if you want to check those out. I'm not entirely sure how accurate it will be, as they might have changed it for FM26. Youth rating though is the most important one, and the higher the youth rating attribute out of 200, the better the Nugens in that country. Another thing to note that is also hidden and can't be changed is the style of players throughout each country. Different nations develop different styles of players. For example, a left back in Brazil will have more likely be better at dribbling, flair, technique, aka Marcelo, but in Italy, for example, that same fullback might be better at defending, aka Maldini. It doesn't mean the opposite can't be true, and a good defensive fullback can't be in Brazil and a good attacking fullback can't be in Italy, but in general, that's how things are weighted. It makes sense as that is culturally accurate. Let's talk about the first three things then that we can change in-game that directly affects the quality of your intakes. First up, we're going to be talking about youth recruitment. Think of this as a net that your club casts out into the world. At the lowest level, you're just finding players from local schools, etc. and local clubs. But as you upgrade it, as you go through the leagues and get more money, that net is getting wider and bigger, and eventually it'll be cast over the entire world. And in turn, you can entice players from foreign academies. The next one is junior coaching, and that directly affects the current ability of players that are coming through the intakes. It's maybe not as important as the others because it doesn't directly affect the potential ability, which is the main aim. But if a player is better to begin with when they first come through, that means that they're probably more likely to play better straight away as their attributes are already better, and also you might give them first team chances, which is massive for youth development. And the third one to talk about is youth facilities. This is one that is more unclear to a lot of people, but this is how it works. Training facilities affects all the players that you can see at your club. So it goes from first team right down to the under-19s. I think a lot of people think, and myself included a couple of years back, thought that youth facilities was for your under-19s and training facilities was for your first team. But youth facilities is actually for players that you can't see yet. The players that are under the hood cooking in the academy. They are there, but you can't see them just yet. There are also players under the hood in the academy that are 14 and 13 years old that are going to come through the academy in 3 years' time. But again, you just can't see them yet. Let me just go into a bit more detail on those pre-intake players. In the most recent versions of Football Manager, Nugens aren't born on intake day. I like to think of them basically as they are in the under-13s, 14s or 15s, and they're vying for a spot in that under-18s team when they come through in youth intake day. That's when they become available to us managers, but before that we can have a direct impact on their development. One thing to consider that I don't think a lot of people think about is the fact that you are competing against every other club in the country for these young players. And as most people manage in England, it's the most popular country to manage in FM and always has been and probably always will be. There's a lot of clubs in England. For example, let's say that we are managing in the lower leagues of England. Let's say League 2 or League 1 to make it easy. We are going to be missing out on those good players to the Championship and Premier League teams. Not always, but very often. So the intakes that you get through in England are probably not going to be as good or not be as noticeably good because you are competing against so many clubs with good recruitment, good facilities and good junior coaching. And because you're in League 1 and League 2, reputation plays a big part. Club reputation is massive and those players will want to go to clubs with better reputations. Let's say now we get promoted and we are now one of the championship clubs in England and we can now take players from League 1 and League 2 like what's happening with our club. Now what's happening is your team, as you're a championship club, you have got better players and your players that come through in your youth intakes are rated against your best players in your first team. And now because you're a championship club with better players, your youth intake players don't look as good when they come through the intakes. So rather than getting 5-star players, you might only be getting 4-star players.
A poďme si pohnúť, lebo už je dlhý segment. 4. séria, 70 klikov, žuto 70 klik sell. Budeme to doraziť. Posledná 5. séria. Posledná 5. séria, 60 klikov, žuto 60 klik sell. Ale je to za nami. No je to za nami. Zrekapitulujeme si to. 857. 857. 857. Relaxačný tréningový deň je za nami. 857. Relaxačný tréningový deň je za nami. Bolo 25.3.2026. Skončili sme 20.03. Piči mal 19.03. Každého podľa gusta bolo svastiky. My sme skončili 20.03. Segment bol extrémne dlhý segment, trval 14 minút a 25 sekúnd.